Hey folks, Frank the Pestgeek here. Well, welcome to another edition of the Lounge Chair Chronicles. I'm gonna go ahead and light my cigar. Oh, hope I got fuel. Yeah. So I want to talk to you about next level mindset, next level thinking. I've been meditating a lot on this because I'm being challenged personally to grow, and growing in a lot of areas, not just the business growing, but growing the podcast, growing the audience, growing the pest control business, growing the Pest Geek Academy, growing myself as a person, growing spiritually, growing financially, growing physically in health. And every one of these growths in your life is going to require a next level mindset. When people think of growth, everybody wants to talk about just crushing it and, scaling and 10xing and all of these modern words that everybody's using, which all the statistics, if you study statistics, real numbers, you study real numbers, not made up statistics. Basically, it's telling you that 97% of people are failing at it. Those who are talking a good game most of the time aren't. And when you look at the percentage of businesses that grow to over $1 million, it's 6%. Percentage of businesses that get past 4 employees is only 20%. Percentage of businesses that start up and make it past 5 years, 20%. So everybody's talking about crushing it. And the problem is when you're listening to books, you're listening to podcasts, notice what they're selling. Most people are selling the dream, number one, which is important to sell a dream. As salespeople, we want to sell the dream. We want to sell the sizzle. We were told back in the 80s, you sell the sizzle, not the steak. Well, you sell the sizzle and you deliver a great steak. What a lot of people are doing is, notice they're all in either tech, they're creating an app, they're selling a course, they're a coach, they're some type of mentor. Very few people that are talking in these podcasts, in these books, a lot of it is to corporate America. Very few people in the world, you can probably count them on one hand, are talking to solopreneurs, people who have under 4 to 5 employees, making less than $1 million in revenue, and usually taking home less than 6 figures. Very few people. Why? Because who wants to sell that dream? Who wants to tell you that if you quit your job tomorrow and you start up, you were making $50,000 a year, that it's going to take you a year to 2 years to make that again? That the chances of you building a $1 million business, you have a 96% chance of failure. Who wants to talk about that? Who wants to buy a book, Why the 96% Fail? I mean, it's probably a good title. Who wants to do that? The reality is that is, I'm going to put this down a little bit. There you go. See a little better. Yeah, you can see my bald spot. There you go. The reality is that most people listening to me, most of my friends, most of the people I know that I talk to on a daily basis, the 96% that I talk to are in that boat. So how do we go next level? How do we have next level thinking? How do we The reason I always hear this is I'm not in a high crime area, folks. We have Baptist Hospital literally around the corner. This is right off the turnpike, and this is the street they take right off the turnpike. Turn there, go down the block, and the emergency room is right there. So unfortunately, I live on a busy 4-lane street that is highly trafficked, and I'm the corner lot on there. But when I was looking for a house to buy, this was the best deal I could get at that time. With a time frame of 90 days to buy a house, this was the best deal I could get for the price, for the location, for the money, for the space that I have, which is the largest townhouse in this development, in a nice development in a nice area that's secure, with a great school nearby for my kids. And all of this was next level thinking for me, because I had to make this decision very quickly. I had to do it. I had no choice. It was either that or rent, which was what I pay here now. When I looked at what the economy was going to be like, and I estimated what it was going to be like, I said, in a year, it'll cost me $800-900 more to rent this place than if I just bought it. Next level thinking for you might be, I got to go to college. Next level thinking for you might be, my wife is pregnant. I'm going to be a father. Next level thinking is, I'm going to buy a house. Next level thinking is, I'm going to start a business. Next level thinking is the next thing that you have to think through, that you have to do in order to excel, in order to get ahead, in order to beat the odds of being 97% of the world's employees, where only 3% of us get to own a business. The chances of us making it past 5 years is slim to none. The chances of growing it past yourself is slimmer. So where is my next level thinking? My next level thinking is, what is the next thing I have to do to get to the next level? See, we can talk about 10xing all we want, but think about it. 10xing in reality in a lot of things isn't that hard, especially if you can apply some type of technology to it. If you want to go from 150,000, which is the average that most people are doing right now, if you're a solo operator, very few people are hitting that 2.25, 300,000 as solo operators around the country. The problem is that you only hear from those guys in the groups. I mean, I got 4,000 people following me. I think 3,800 or 2,800 there. I've got 3,800 on YouTube. I got 10,000 people following me on my Nature Pest channel. We get 10,000 views a month alone on Pest Geek Podcast on the video alone. It is only about the 4% that is vocal. Those that are succeeding are vocal about what they're succeeding about. The people that haven't made it, what they tend to do is stay quiet, observe what is happening. Some of them get into the envious side, to the covetous side. And then the ones you hear about are the ones that are basically negative about everything. You notice the posts, follow the threads. The guys who are crapping over everybody's because there's usually an emotional, psychological, something is happening there that they're crapping over everybody else. I'm having this conversation with my daughter about mean people in her school. And I said, you realize that that girl, that person is behaving that way because something is seriously wrong at home. Kids don't act out and are just mean and cruel. It's usually something. And I ask them, what's going on at home? Well, yeah, she doesn't know who her dad is. Her dad's in jail. You know, her mom, she's living with her grandma because her mother. You see what I'm saying? There you go. Something is seriously wrong with people when they're crapping over. The problem is that 1% that decides to crap over everything makes everything feel negative. I tend to be viewed by some people as a negative person. I will argue that to my death that I'm not a negative person. But I tend to focus only on the problems. I spend very little time trying to reminisce in what I succeeded in. And I have to learn to appreciate that more. We all do. But I tend to look at what's the solution? What's the solution? Let me find the problem, because I only get paid to solve problems. I don't get paid to not have a solution. Very few people are solutions focused. You notice employees come to you with all kinds of problems. Oh yeah, we got this problem. We got this problem. You need to solve it. I'm like, no, wait a minute. You're the tech. You're the person. If there's a problem, give me at least 3 solutions to that problem. Don't come to me just with the problem. What's the solution? And next level thinking requires that you think 2 to 3 steps ahead of what if this happens, what if that happens. You weigh it. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like the person, the guy, the girl, it doesn't matter, that is enamored with the idea of cliff jumping. They look at every video, every YouTube video, every TikTok video, every Instagram video on cliff diving. They're mesmerized by cliff diving. They read blogs about cliff diving, techniques about cliff diving, except they're not a cliff diver. They've never actually experienced it. They only know about it. They don't know what it's like to stand at the edge of a cliff, look down 200-300 feet, and jump. That's because they lack the courage, the enthusiasm, the vision. Everything is there except the courage. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It isn't the opposite of fear. All decisions that people make are usually based on fear. Next level thinking requires you to conquer that fear, which is what becomes the courage. We all admire people who have courage. This is why we watch so many shows and TVs and movies, but yet people lack the courage to go get that degree. They lack the courage because it requires, the courage requires commitment. And you have to be committed before you can actually launch. A lot of people have a lot of dreams, but they have no commitment. Next level thinking requires you at one point to make a commitment. In other words, piss or get off the pot. You can't date a person for 5, 6, 7 years. Eventually, one of those people in the relationship is going to require a commitment for marriage, a commitment to buy a house, a commitment to have kids, a commitment to move ahead. And when the other person says, I want to live in this little apartment because I don't want to excel, I don't want to get the better job, I don't want to get the career, the other person will get tired and say, do I really want this for the rest of my life? The courage to either accept that and said it's a lot easier to accept it than the courage to say, no, all the signs are here. You're not going to change. You're not going to move ahead. You're not going to excel. And you're going to hold me back when I have dreams and aspirations and I have courage to do things and you have none. And why am I telling this? I'm going to explain it to you in a minute. If you want to move to the next level in your job, and the next job is management, and you tell people around you that you want that, they're all going to discourage you. You don't want to be in management. It's a thankless job. You don't want to do that. They require too much of you. They require you to work weekends. Guess what? That's what you have to pay. That's the price you have to pay to be in management. But you will never acquire the skills. You'll never know what it's like because of all the people around you that if you listen to them, you're going to not do it. If you do it, they won't be your friends anymore because now you're their boss. They're going to be envious because they didn't have the courage to do it. They didn't have the courage to move ahead. They don't have, because my wife will never let me work weekends. My kids have too many games. I'd rather be there for them. That's fine. That's wonderful. Just don't piss on the guy who is willing to do it. When I became a young manager at the age of 19, everyone that was there for 3, 4, 5, 6 years working for that company could not accept the fact that they had a 19-year-old boss. That was hellish. See, what you need to do if you want to become a manager is you start hanging out with all of the high-level managers. You have to be seen. You got to stick out like a sore thumb. You got to become a selfish self-promoter. You got to gun for it. And you cannot care what the people in the lower level who are not willing to rise up to the next level have to think or say. You have to not care. When I wanted to start an eco-friendly pest control business, everybody discouraged. When Austin Frischman said, I believe it was 2007, December of 2006, I can say it was around Christmas, before Christmas, in 2006, said, the future of pest control is green. Everyone in there was probably a couple hundred people there, about 100 and something people, all of them which were in their 60s and 50s and 60s, basically scoffed. I saw their heads, I saw their attitude. And I was young, I was 30 something. I said, aha, I have something. Because these people do not believe in this. I will believe in it. I will forge ahead. I will have the courage to do it, even though everybody, suppliers, manufacturers, everybody discouraged me from doing it. I went ahead and forged, and in 2013, I launched my brand, Nature Pest, after 7, 8 years of testing and development. But I was already committed to it that day. My commitment was further confirmed or denied by my testing, my research and development, my moving forward, my buying the products, my spending hours and hours on hundreds of properties, doing thousands of services to perfect my craft to the point where I feel confident that I could have a viable product. And I launched it. See, the idea was, oh, I'm just going to do eco-friendly, natural pest control. Why don't I just spray cedar oil on everything and start a pest control company and, and call it Nature Pest and spray everybody with cedar oil? And I'm supposed to have instant success after 2 years with no marketing plan, nothing under my belt. And I'm going to do that and expect an unrealistic expectation. Next level thinking requires that you ditch the herd. If you're a solopreneur and you're in all the solopreneur groups, which are dozens of them in every industry, and you start talking about hiring and growing, you will find everybody in that group. The easiest thing to find there is a naysayer that says, oh no, you don't want to do that because you don't want the responsibility. And you don't want the headaches, and you can't find anyone to hire, and nobody wants to work, and everybody's lazy. And if you go to 3 people, 10 people, none of them will show up. And the easiest thing to find on God's green earth, I was told this when I was like 18 years old. It says, look, the easiest thing to find on God's green earth is the person that tells you you can't do something. The last thing, a person who, because it's not natural to want change. Human beings do not want change. They want things to be steady and smooth. This is what management is all about. Everybody that's used to being managed knows this. You come up with new ideas. What does management say? Nope, we can't do that. This is our program. This is our protocol. I get it. We need thinking outside the box, folks. You come up with outside the box thinking, you get shut down. After a while, you're like, screw it. It isn't worth it. Why am I going to do it? You do that in school, you get shot down. You go to college, you get shot down. Next level thinking is going to require that you surround yourself with the people that are thinking on that next level already, or that have already been to that level and can help you up. If you want to learn to hire people, go talk to the guy who has 3 and 4 employees, who has 2 employees, because you have none. Getting to 2, that's a 200% in complexity. There's a complexity ceiling that you have to deal with. Every area has it. To get beyond that, to get to those humps at 300,000, at 600,000, at 900,000, at 1.2 million, you're going to have plateaus and you're going to have next level thinking. Every next level thinking is going to require you to acquire a new skill that you don't have. People who say, I just want to work and do my job and be left alone are never going to get anywhere else. I'm not criticizing it. I'm just telling you, this is not the person I'm asking how to get to the next level. He might be great at telling me because he had the experience and he decided it wasn't for him. That's great. That's wonderful.